Hi, my name's Lee and welcome to Committed to Carp Bedtime Stories. You're joining me on this session over in Retford. I've drove over to Hayton Lakes. Now there's 7 lakes on this complex, and the lake I'm booked on for this session is Wigeon Lake. That's a lake, you can just see through the trees there. Now it's not a very big lake, it's probably about 3.5 acres in size, so I'm just going to do a couple of laps of the lake to see if I can see any showing carp or any obvious signs to where I should be setting up. Just continuing my walk around the lake, and I've seen 2 carp just swim through the margin here. Not bad sizes neither. Just gonna stick around a bit longer on this bank to see if I can see any more. But that's not a bad start. Oh, there is another one just over there, but I've got my Polaroids on. The phone hasn't. And there is a peg over there, just there, that I can fish from over to this spot down here. That space in the trees there is a no fishing peg, so if I fish there, that means I would have all of this bay to work with. It's just a shame that the wind isn't pushing down this way. Another no fishing part of the bank, and carp are swirling just there, and as you can see, it is very weedy, but I'm sure there'll be some clear spots in there somewhere. Where there's weed, there's carp, because that's where the food is. Okay, so I'm whispering because just underneath my feet I keep seeing carp swim through this margin, and it's starting to silt up a lot, so they're definitely rubbing on. There's another one. They're definitely rubbing on this spot or feeding on this spot. So I think I found where I'm going to set up. Definitely a lot of activity coming through the margins. And if you're wondering why my cheek looks a little bit swollen, it's because I've got a big abscess and it's doing me head in. Not sure if you can see the water colouring up there, but carp are definitely just in front of this peg. So I don't know what peg number it is. I think for now we'll call it the Pepsi can peg. I really do wish people had picked the rubbish up and take it home with them, but for now we might set up in the Pepsi can peg. Carp are just in front of this margin here. How long they'll stay here, if I catch one, I don't know. But yeah, cruising up and down the margins like mad. So opportunity is looking good. Carp just showed on the corner of the island, so there's another little spot, and obviously we've got the island straight out in front. So if I was to fish this peg, it'd be a rod down in the margin, a rod just straight in front, and probably a rod just on the edge of the island. That'd be nice. So I've just got all of the bivvy set up. The rods have been out for about an hour, and first run just off the edge of the island. Not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. Carp in the net. let's get it weighed and take a look at him. So there we go. I've got my shorts on and also got the first carp of this session from Hayton Lakes, a place I've never fished before. £12 bang on. Lovely little cracking linear line carp. Brilliant. Not bad for a start. So that rod's back out again. Let's see if we can get another bite. Lovely dark as well. Really dark. Taken on a Ronnie rig of all rigs with trimmed down Yali DNA PB pop-up. Wicked result. There we go. First carp from Wigeon Lake. Good start. Let's get back. An absolute great start to the session there. My first carp from Wigeon Lake, a lovely £12 scaly banger. Now it may have not been the biggest carp in the lake, but they do go up to £30. So maybe the next bite I get, the next carp, could possibly be a lot bigger. Let's talk about tactics though. Now I've already mentioned the rigs. I'm using a Ronnie rig on all 3 rods, so that's the rigs covered. Onto the bait that I'm putting out in the spom. Now I'm gonna throw a curveball here. You're all gonna go, wow! You can use bait boats on this complex. So I have got my bait boat with me on this session. So the spod mix is going to be a combination of spod mix and bait boat mix. That is going to make the fishing a lot easier as well. So let's take a look at what that mix is. The bulk of the spod mix, bait boat mix, is pallets. In that bucket there is some of the DNA Omega XTR pallets and the DNA crayfish pallets. I like putting little mesh bags together and whacking one of them on the hook. That's always helped me nick a bite now and again. And then I'm crushing, just literally smushing up all of these boilies that I've got soaking in lake water. Them are the 12mm DNA bug. And yes, I mentioned I had it on a yellow pop-up. Can't go wrong with a bit of yellow in your mix, some lovely sweet corn. If you're going to be fishing yellow pop-ups, you might as well add a fleck of yellow into your mix. And this is the canneless hydra liquid, very salty. And this time of year, if the carp have been spawning, certainly after the carp have been spawning, a good dose of salt certainly helps them to recover a lot faster. And once you've got all of them into the spod mix bucket, that's what it looks like, all smashed up. Smells like balachin, the canneless hydro. Yeah, like I say, very, very, very salty. And yeah, that's a good mix for going out in the spom or in the bait boat. Shortly after filming the spod mix bait boat mix section, I got a few bleeps on the right rod, and then it turned out to be a full-blown run. So yes, I'm into my second carp of the session. Now, when I put all of my tackle in the car, I didn't realise that I probably would be needing my waders, and I didn't put them in. So be prepared for a shock. It's not very often I get my legs out on a vlog. I look forward to reading your comments. Tripod may fall over, but I have the carp in the net. And it actually looks a lot nicer. And the last one, check him out. Number 2 of the session, £18.4, and another lovely scale pattern. Proper nice, aren't they? Really, really nice. Pleased to be catching these. Yeah, let's take a look at the other side though. There we go. Second carp of the session. Lovely jubbly. Taken on the right hand side rod again. Exactly the same spot. Happy days. What can I say? 2 carp in the first hour. Yeah, that'll do me. Especially on a venue that I've never been to before, and I didn't know much information about the place at all, apart from there were 7 lakes here, roughly how deep they were, and they got carp to £30, so on and so on and so on. So yeah, great start for me, happy with that. And I've got 48 hours on this session, so plenty more time to catch a few more as well. Hopefully that'll be the case. Now, if you've been following the channel, you've been subscribed for a while, and you've been watching all of the videos, the vlogs, you might have been wondering why there hasn't been any content out recently after the last France video I did. Well, the reality of it is there's been a lot going on. I lost truffle in December. That was really difficult for me to deal with. And then in March, I had the biggest shock of my life as my mum passed away. And it was completely out of the blue because I'd only spoke to her 2 days previously. Now, I've mentioned before that my mum does suffer with dementia, but sadly her passing away was nothing to do with the dementia. So completely out of the blue, took me by surprise, and for the last couple of months I just haven't felt like putting my face on front of a, in front of a camera and speaking to people. Kind of kept myself to myself. I have been out fishing to my local day ticket venues where I've been catching numerous numbers of carp. Fantastic fun, to be honest with you, and that's what's kept me out of fishing. It's kept me out of life, my morale, my mood. I just haven't felt like doing much. Anybody who's lost their mum or your dad, I mean, my mum and dad have now passed away, both of them. I'm trying to find solace in it that my mum is now with my dad and they're back together again. So yeah, it's difficult when these things happen. Things aren't really improving for me, mental status still all over the place, but it is good to be back out on the bank fishing again. That is certainly helping me to not forget, but maybe just not think about it so much, and try and move on with life, because that's what my mum would have wanted me to do anyway. None of us are immortal, and we're not meant to live forever anyway. But yeah, that's why there's been no content for a while. Going forward though, we're out on the bank. We've had a couple, and it's been quiet now for about the last 50 minutes, maybe an hour. I have seen a couple kiting up and down the margin. The margin rod hasn't done anything yet, so maybe that margin rod might go off, I don't know, but it's got bait over it. I keep dropping bait over it, littling off, and we'll see what happens. But for now, guys, yeah, just waiting for the next run, and there's your little update about why there's been no vlogs out. I mentioned, if you've been following the channel earlier, well, you'll notice there's a serious problem with them rods, and I've only just noticed myself. Scabby Fox is missing, so let me go get Scabby Fox. Now, Scabby Fox should be in the wheelbarrow. Hiding in the back of the van. Oh yeah, and you'll notice this is not my Warrior. We'll talk about that in a minute too. But let's get Scabby Fox on the rods. I can't believe I forgot to put him on. But more importantly, I can't believe without Scabby Fox on the rods that I've had 2 carp. Just on the phone to my daughter and into another carp. Spin you around so you can take a look. There you go. Yes. The only thing about this is I've had to walk right backwards because he was trying to run round the back of the island. So I need to wind down and then we'll get him in the net and we'll show you. And they keep getting bigger. There we go. First 20 pounder of the session. £20 4 ounce. That'll do just nice. Move the right hand side rod over. Just to the end of the island, which is where this one came from. And the middle rod is now where I had the last 2 caught from. So yeah, getting bites on both rods now, the right and the middle. So we'll get this one back, get a bit more bait out and see if we can catch yet another. 3 carp in a day, I'll take that. Beautiful carp. There we go. There, yeah, wanted off. Just like that, gone. As you can see, it's gone dark, so that can only mean one thing: it's getting late. Hadn't had any more action since 6:15 this evening, and yes, despite the fact the ducks were diving on me spots, I reeled all the rods in and put them back out again. Fresh hook baits and plenty bait over those spots that I've been catching the carp from, because those spots are definitely working. But it is now 11:20 and it's getting late, as I say. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning to make sure I got here at gates open, and it is catching up with me now. I'm happy with how today has gone. Catching 3 carp is definitely a good day. Hopefully I will get woken up in the night by one of them alarms going off. A low double taken on the right hand side rod. I was just nodding off asleep. 2 o'clock in the morning. The alarm's going to be going off soon. Yeah, anyway, great. Let's get this one back in, and I'm going to try and grab a couple of hours before it comes daylight. It's too early. Sleepless night, as I said, but don't mind being woken up by a rod going off and catching a carp. That is a good thing. But I'm up, but I'm not up. I'll be up when I put my boots on and my hat. So I'll see you back in a bit. After putting that carp back last night, it was about 2:45 when I nodded off back sleep again. And yes, an early start for me this morning, back up at about 5:45. So, had the rods out now. They've been fishing for quite a while. I haven't brought them in, and the right hand side rod has just gone ripping off. So let's take a look at what's in the net. So all of the carp I'm catching on this session, as I've mentioned, angry carp, got his fin up, there we go, all caught on a Ronnie rig with a 6-inch boom section, and the hook bait is a DNA PB pop-up trimmed down. And yeah, definitely getting me bites. We'll talk about the spots that I'm fishing in a minute. Let's get this one back though. I'm sure there's plenty more with 24 hours of the session to go. Happy days. With Scabby Fox back on the rods again, it's now game on. Let's see if I can get another bite. It's very dull and overcast today, totally different than yesterday. Yesterday was lovely, bright and sunny, and the carp were definitely in the margins, whether it be this side or the island side. But yeah, speaking of rods, let's talk about them spots. The left hand side rod is still down this margin. I haven't moved it. I've just been putting little bits of bait in, little and often. There are smaller fish in here that are going to be munching on that bait, and yeah, it's nice to keep it topped up. Fresh hook baits going on it frequently as well. The middle rod is fishing right up close towards the island now, in probably 3 foot of water, very tight to the island. And the right hand side rod is on the end of the island in 3 foot of water. And I chose this peg based on the fact that there wasn't just this near margin spot to fish in, there were several spots over on the island. So the spots that I've been having the carp from at the moment are the middle rod and the right rod. In the near margin, literally drops right off down to 20 and 21 foot towards the middle of the lake. Got about 7 foot of flat bottom, and then it comes right back up again towards the island into 3 foot and plateaus out to about 2 foot at its shallowest. And it's in that 3 to 2 foot area around the island that I'm getting the bites from. At 3:15 the weather changed and it started to rain. I decided I was going to lie down on the bed chair for a bit. I didn't really mean nod off, but I did. I really did need a sleep. And it's now 6:30. Woke up to a screaming run on the right hand side rod, and look at what we've got down here. There's a carp in the sling, and let me tell you, this one is a lot bigger than the last ones. Out in the rain, who cares? Who cares? Certainly worth getting wet for this one. There we go. Oh, check. That's out. 24.5 pound of get in my net. The biggest carp of the session for me so far. Cannot complain. It's how the fishing is going. Carp number 6. Stunning. Oh, knew you were gonna go. Come to a venue I've never been to before, and having a session like this, yeah, they don't come along very often, do they? Almost like a red letter session, and plenty hours of fishing still to go. 24.5 pound Wigeon Lake carp. Stunning. This is Owen. He's fishing in the peg further up, and it's just me and Owen on the lake now. Everybody else has gone home. Yeah, only the lonelies, that's us, diving down on the spots there, giving me liners. So I reckon I'm going to have to redo the rods, because As you can see behind, the sun is going down. It's going to be going dark soon, so yeah, good time, get them recast, get them done for the night, and sit back with a brew. And Owen's had a lovely one. How big was that one you had this morning again?
29 pounder.
29 pound result. Missing a middle rod, just had a run. First run on the middle rod in a while. Got soaked in the rain and it's come off. So that's 7 runs, 6 landed. Anyway, I'll give it a few minutes and then I'll get that middle rod back out again. Oh, and beeps on the right rod now. 10:20 and it is raining hard. If I get a run in this weather, I'll definitely be grabbing my coat off the back of the chair before I go out to them rods. Thoroughly enjoying how this session is going for my first time down at Hayton Lakes fishing on Wigeon Lake. 7 runs in total, 6 carp landed, the biggest one being 24 pound 8 ounce so far. I got the rods back out, more bait on those spots, and hopefully I can get another run before I go to sleep. I'm going to get the kettle on, have a nice fresh brew, sit and listen to the rain for an hour, and then I'm going to call it a night. Let me tell you something, if you're going to fish on Wigeon Lake, be prepared to be up every morning from the crack of dawn, because the wildlife on here, the birds are just whack, 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 chasing each other around from 4 o'clock right the way through till about 7 o'clock. So if you're planning on having a bit of a kip in your sleeping bag, an extra lie-in, grabbing a few hours as they say, it's not that easy in the morning, let me tell you that. I've been up since about 4 o'clock anyway, had a cup of tea, sat watching the water. Rained up until about 3:30 this morning. I've tried extremely hard to end this video on another carp, but sadly guys, that is the end of this session. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had a fantastic time fishing on Wigeon Lake for the first time. I'm actually really surprised that I've had 7 runs, landed 6 carp, and 2 of those being 20 pounders. That's a real result, really. Now, I mentioned that I wasn't in my Warrior. I was driving round in a rental van. The reason I'm driving round in a rental is because about 5 or 6 days ago, just minding my own business, sitting at a roundabout, and a car rear-ending me. Now, you'd think it wouldn't cause that much damage to my Warrior, but it has, and it's been wrote off by the insurance. So that's a bit gutting. Got to deal with that as well now. There's just 2 things that I want to do. The first thing is this: if you're gonna come carp fishing, please take your rubbish home with you. It shouldn't be up to the other anglers or the bailiffs on the lake to clean up anybody else's mess. That's the first thing. Second thing I want to do is say thanks for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. You'll be up to date with all of the latest Committed to Carp bedtime stories episodes, and I'll catch you next time.